Bandung File reports this week on the Tory measures introducing visas for African and Asian visitors to this country. We visit Toulon in France, where a group of right-wing terrorists on their way to murder Arab children blew themselves up instead. And a special report from Toxteth in Liverpool, where nothing much has changed 5 years after the riots.
In the summer of 1981, blacks in the Liverpool Aid community fought the police with petrol bombs. The government responded by appointing Cabinet Minister Michael Heseltine to generate employment in Merseyside. A task force was set up to this effect. 5 years later, we returned to Merseyside to assess what benefits, if any, came to the black community.
The task force and the Merseyside Minister, Michael Heseltine, to me, it's just one massive joke. And it reminds me very much of the old colonial days where when the natives started to get very restless or when there was a problem, you sent in your district councillor and he would go and find out what the natives wanted and he would solve the problem with a few beads and feathers and blankets and mirrors. Only in this case, the beads were promises of jobs and a few bribes.
The mentality of every single British government that's ever been formed has been one of pretending black people aren't there. There's a great cliche about Liverpool, and it's everybody's Scousers, and Liverpool is a multiracial society. Well, let me correct that, because those people are talking a load of bullshit. The only multiracial society is here in Liverpool 8. Outside of Liverpool 8, it's like Pretoria. It's controlled by the South African white man, because them over there come from here. It's the same people doing the same tricks.
5 years later, the efforts of the task force have brought little relief to jobless young blacks. We asked the deputy leader of the local council, the largest employer in Liverpool, about their responsibility in providing jobs for blacks.
Well, I mean, the irony, of course, is, this Tory government has seen industry after industry after industry close down in the city. This Tory government has seen young people with no future, no hope whatsoever. This Tory government has robbed over £500 million from this city. That's over £500 million since 1979. And then, as an alternative to all that, they come in and they plant trees and they grow shrubs. Now, whilst nobody's against them planting trees and growing shrubs, at the end of the day, in terms of permanent jobs, in terms of some hope for young people, obviously, whether it be Liverpool 8 or elsewhere, it provides nothing.
After 81, I was involved with the Black Caucus, who used to sit down at the city council meetings to try and get things done for black people. And every proposal we put through was nearly always rejected through Tony Benn or Derek Hatton. And the crux came when we applied for a housing grant for elderly housing called the River Avondale site. The government were prepared to give us £1 million, and the council only had to put 25% towards that. Now, right up until we were getting the money off the government, Hatton and his cronies supported us. The moment the money came through, they dropped the project and said, we'll put it back 2 years, and the money went somewhere else. The other point is, whenever there's work in this community or in any community, none of the community is taken on board to do the work. They bring in outside contractors from Manchester, Birmingham, Wolverhampton, wherever, to build property in our community while we stand on the sideline. Now, when I put this to John Hamilton, the leader of the Labour Party, he was telling me all he could do was ask the contractors to take on the local community. And what I was saying is that's not good enough. If you, the City Council, hold the purse strings, you are the one that dictates how the money is spent and where and when it should go. But they didn't want to deal with that policy. They preferred to back off. Quite truthfully, they don't want to absorb black people within the employment figures.
I think trade unions have a major role to play, or they should have. I mean, yeah, like Workers of the World unite, unity is strength and all this business, the working class. But when you, especially in this city, where they have the reputation of being so powerful and so militant and that, but the record on equal opportunity is abysmal. I mean, they'll strike and they'll march for more pay for themselves, better conditions for themselves, but not for more black workers. And the other crucial thing about unions is that a lot of them have nomination rights. So whenever vacancies do arise in their firms, they can nominate who gets the job. But it's their sons, it's their friends, it's their family. They never go on strike or march, say, more black workers, more equality. And so I feel the trade unions badly let us down.
We accept our responsibility for that situation. It's pointless trying to duck it, but we're not the only organisation who's been here. The City Council's been here for a long time, the Labour Party's been here a long time, and they haven't addressed those problems. What we've tried to do over the past few years is recognise our responsibility for that in the past, and with our black members and the black community start to do things about it. It doesn't mean that everything we do then is right necessarily, but we're trying to at least make a start.
I know nothing of this, brothers, sisters, nephews, nieces, etc. I know nothing about that at all, but I do certainly accept, and I think that the majority of trade unions involved would also accept, that we certainly haven't gone anywhere near far enough.
Here we have a militant left-wing council, ever so socialist and ever so, you know, equal opportunities regarding women and black people. And what are they giving us? They're not giving us nothing.
It is no mystery, we're winning victory. Now tell me something, Mr. Right-wing man, tell me something. How long you really feel we would have gravel and squeal when so much murder conceal, when we wound can't heal, when we feel the way we feel the way we feel, Well, there was Toxted, and there was Massside, and a lot of other places where the police had to hide. Well, there was Brixton, and there was Chapeltown, and a lot of other places that was burned to the ground, burned to the ground, burned to the ground. It is no mystery, we're making history. It is no mystery, we're winning victory. It is no mystery, we're making history. It is no mystery, we're winning victory.
If Roy Attersley and Kinnock and that section within the Labour Party seriously wants to address themselves to black people coming into the Labour Party, they will have to deal with black people who have got political ideas in an equal and meaningful way.
Black people are saying, look, if the Labour Party cannot deliver the goods for us and for our communities, then we may withdraw our support for it.
There's been a strong element which wish to keep black people out of the Labour Party, and if they do come into the Labour Party, the only way they should come in is in order to support a white MP or certain white councillors.
Roy Hattersley has been MP for his Birmingham constituency for the past 21 years.
I feel I belong to Sparkbrook. And I hope Sparkbrook thinks it's got a relationship with me. There's only one seat I want to be a member for, and that's Sparkbrook. And had I been deselected or had Sparkbrook been abolished by the Boundary Commission, I wouldn't have wanted to fight anywhere else. So Sparkbrook and I are going to stick together till death or retirement do us part.
As Roy Hattersley speeds north on one of his regular visits to his Midlands constituency, he can be rightly confident that his 21-year reign as MP for Sparkbrook is secure. He is a popular MP at local level, increasing his majority in 5 out of 8 elections. In 1984, his constituency unanimously resolved to keep him as their Member of Parliament. When he first won Sparkbrook from the Conservatives in 1964, almost half of his small majority came from the then tiny Asian community. That vote has remained a loyal one, and his majority has grown, along with the community itself. Today, Sparkbrook has one of the largest concentrations of ethnic minorities in the country. The nature of the community has also changed. They are no longer immigrants, here to work and return home. Many were born here and have growing families of their own, for whom they want a better and more equal society, with a future free from social deprivation and staggeringly high unemployment. Their significant vote is now being courted by all the political parties. And at a time when black people are demanding equality in every sphere, the Labour Party can no longer afford to be complacent about its once loyal black vote.
Wherever one goes in the Haiti of today, those who were once powerless and downtrodden are engaged in laying new foundations. The old is being swept away. The process of building the new has only just begun.
Mes chers compatriotes, peuple haïtien, aujourd'hui,
this was the president's final address to the nation. Jean-Claude Duvalier fled into exile after massive protests called for his overthrow. He was halfway across the Atlantic when this pre-recorded address was broadcast.
C'est pourquoi, désirant entrer dans l'histoire, la tête haute, la conscience tranquille, j'ai décidé de passer ce soir le destin de la nation et le pouvoir aux forces armées d'Haïti en souhaitant que cette décision permette une issue pacifique et rapide à la crise actuelle.
The celebrations which followed echoed those moments in 1804 when, as slaves, the Haitian people completed a military and political defeat on their slave masters. It was the only successful slave revolt in history. The Duvaliers, Francois the father, Jean-Claude the son, ruled this ruined Caribbean country from this palace for 29 years without interruption. Between them, they had built up this extensive machinery of army, of police, of Tonton Macoute, which killed 40,000 Haitians in an attempt to stamp out traditions of revolt which resided in this population for generations. They did not succeed. For these very traditions of resistance were rekindled in 4 months of unceasing revolt, which forced Jean-Claude Duvalier to flee this country on the night of the 7th of February, 1986. It was the signal for Haitian people to give vent to passions pent up within them for 3 decades. It was violent, it was celebratory, it was bloody, it was uncompromising. From the Duvalier regime, they had known torture, degradation, and death. Now, with power in their hands, they returned in kind, wreaking vengeance on their former torturers and murderers. Tales of brutal experiences at the hands of the regime were paraded before the nation.
They attacked and tortured my brother. They sent him to Fort Demange, beat him senseless. Today I am happy because I can speak out now. All I want to do is find the body, and then I can rest easy and accept what has happened. My brothers are in the big prison. I want them released. Lots of people were killed at Fort Demange. Out of 25, my brothers were the only 2 who survived, and now they are in the big prison and can't get out.
They desecrated the graves, dragged the rotting bodies of former government officials through the streets in a gruesome orgy of destruction. They behaved as they had been taught. The ultimate insult was reserved for Papa Doc. They tore his tomb apart with their bare hands, burnt his corpse, and threw a dead dog where his body once lay. It was the final epitaph of a regime which began with Papa Doc Duvalier and ended with the overthrow of his son. A decimated countryside remains one of the major crimes of the Duvaliers. A complete absence of any agricultural policy in 29 years meant that the land would yield no more. Parts of Haiti are a veritable desert with ghost towns scattered around. A starved and ruined peasantry moved in their thousands to the cities. Here in the capital Port-au-Prince, the population has doubled in the last 10 years. It now stands at 2 million. As a result, Port-au-Prince boasts some of the worst slums in the Western Hemisphere. I visited La Saline, which can only be described as the dark dungeon of Caribbean society. The stench of death and decay was overwhelming. The abject poverty, the open sewers, the diseased children would overwhelm the most hardened cynic. "10,000 people live in this slum. This family of 10 occupies a space measuring no more than 8 feet by 6 feet. They sleep in shifts on beds made from cardboard.
We have no resistance left. We have nowhere to sleep. When it rains, the water comes right up to our hearts. When the rain falls, it just comes in the house, and in the morning we have to chuck it out. Then there's nowhere to sleep. We don't have a latrine. We have nothing at all. We're in total poverty. As for me, I wouldn't ever want to ask for charity. I used to be well off. I owned 5 pigs, but since Jean-Claude, I've lost them all. And that's why I'm reduced to poverty. I can't make out on my own. I don't want to steal, but I'm reduced to charity now. We all had pigs, and now they've all gone. We're all poor.
Under the Duvaliers, not even the wretched of the earth was secure. The henchmen of the regime, the Tonton Macoute, under their leader Madame Adolphe, carried out constant attacks against the people of the slums.
Jean-Claude and members of his family, they've come and destroyed the place we live in, trying to throw us out. But we weren't going to accept that. They've tried to set fire to our properties. They've tried to do all kinds of things to us.
Speaking of fire, in 1967, Madame Adolphe came. François Duvalier sent her to clean up the place, but all she did was to set fire to it. There was so much damage. Old and young people died. 100 people in all. The fire was in people's houses. There wasn't time to get out. Young and old people all died.
We have suffered ever since Francois Duvalier came to power. That's the whole of our problem. They thought they were going to crush us all the time. It was in their blood. But we weren't going to let it happen.
The main actor, the principal actor, is the people. So if, as people, we can continue to build this solidarity, we are sure we will continue to represent the big power, the biggest power in our country, and now we will put the democracy, our democracy, and we will oblige the leaders, the president, the government to build with us, because if he doesn't want to build with us, he should perceive as Duvalier's roots, and then he will be in difficulties with us.
Two major forces are openly at large in Haitian society today. On the one hand, there are the followers of Duvalier who occupy powerful positions in the army and the police. And no one in authority is able to say where the weapons of the Tonton Macoute have gone. On the other hand, there are the people of Haiti fortified by recent victories. Time and again, they continue to define their tasks as the uprooting of Duvalierism from this society completely. Both forces are preparing for the second round, while the Americans lurk nervously in the shadows. That confrontation between the followers of Duvalier and the people of Haiti cannot be long delayed.